last part of the tutorial regarding chapter 5. I'm going to be solving a couple of examples, or just one example. We'll see that now. And then I'm going to move on to the tips and tricks. So the question here states that the diagram shows a sketch of the graph of y equals to f of x, and this is how your graph looks like. It's again, it's a curve of power 3, and it looks like so it's a negative, and it's not a normal n, it's an upside down n, and it goes through the origin. Oops. So yeah, so it goes through your origin, and then after a while it goes up again and down. There goes. Please don't erase the whole thing. Yes. So yes, and there goes. Just assume it's this way. There. Just want it high enough, and there. Let's just erase this. Okay, and you're given specific points on this graph. You're told that this point is 6, 4, and it's called point B. And you know that this point is 2, -1. And this is your origin, obviously. So yes, you're given this graph and you're given the points, and then you're asked to, first of all, sketch y equals to 2 f of x minus 1. So as you see, you have a stretch on x and you have a shift on y. So you do the x before the y. First of all, you're going to stretch your x, so your 2 -1 is going to become half of that, because it's actually shrinking, and it's going to become 1 -1. And your 6, 4 is going to be 3, 4. So let's say 3, 4, 5, and this is your 3, and this is where it's going to be instead. Your 0, 0 is going to stay the same, but this is going to be shrinking, and there goes your graph. It looks now something like this instead. And of course, that's the first part. Second part, it says that it's going to become -1. There's a shift on y by -1, so you're shifting the whole thing downwards by 1. So this one instead is going to be 2, -2. This is going to become -2, and this instead of 4 is going to become 3, and there it goes this way. Your 0 is going to become -1, and it's going to be here. So yes, your graph is simply going to all shift down by 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, and there. And same here, all this is shifted by 1, and there, there, there. So yes, this here is your actual new y. And if you want to draw it properly, you're going to draw it here. You're going to say, okay, so my curve looks like this now, and yeah, so it's the same shape, it's just a bit steeper, and the points, point A became actually 3, 3, and my point B became 1, -2, and my origin point became, instead of 0, -1 and 0. So yes, actually, sorry, let me just fix that. 0 and -1. That's how you solve questions when it comes to combined transformations. You just draw them, and if they give you points, you find them. If they don't give you specific points like A, B, C, what you need to know is the intercepts and such. And this takes us to the tips and tricks. So this is the final part of the tutorial, our beautiful tips and tricks. So what are the tips and tricks? First of all, I'll remind you of the two tips I gave you before, and the one I quite remember now is that learn how to use the absolute function on your calculator. Make sure to know that before the exam. If you figure out in the exam, I don't exactly promise you to ace it. I just want you to take a look at it beforehand. Second of all, whenever you're graphing, I want you to, if you sketch a graph, always, first of all, you're going to label your axes, and second of all, you're going to write the coordinates of all your intercepts, of your x and y intercepts, and also any points of intersection. If there are two curves, then um, always show the intersection points, and that will be the things you really need to show. Third of all, I need you to be very neat, and always you need to be neat. Your examiner needs to know which curve you're talking about. So label your curves. If one is f of x, one is g of x, one of h of x, use pencil once, use pen once, and always and eventually label what the curve is, or just tell us what the curve equation of that curve is. And the other thing is that when you're doing the absolute graphs and you need to erase the old one, so yeah, that's what you do. You erase the old or label clearly. Just be very neat, be very clear, in order for your examiner to know exactly what you're talking about. Fourth of all, I need you to check your answers. How do you check your answer? You simply plug in different value, any random value. So you draw a curve that looks like this, and then you see, okay, let me just check my answer. I'm going to take any random point here, x1, and I'm going to see if it gives me y1. If it does not give me y1, then my curve is probably wrong. I did the transformation wrong. So always check your answer by trial and error. Try a value for x and check the corresponding value of y. That way you will be like sort of sure of what you're doing. Maybe you do like I did while explaining. I drew it like this instead of drawing it like this because I forgot that when this is the curve, this is when we have a power 3 that it's negative, and this is when it's positive. Just like with the parabola, you have it here, it's x squared, and it's the opposite, it's a sad face when it's negative x squared instead. So yes, always keep in mind those tips and tricks, and hopefully you're going to ace this exam. So you're gonna ace this part of the exam. Watch the rest of the tutorials to ace it all. Thank you so much for watching College World Tutorials. This was the fifth chapter in the C3 series. Stay updated in order to finish the 6th and 7th and 8th chapters of this unit, and hopefully you're going to end up getting the best A star you wish for. Thank you for watching.